Welcome, friends. Today I'm sharing with you a heartwarming story about a young mother's courageous struggle, an unlikely hero, and how the purest love can blossom out of the most unexpected circumstances. Enjoy the story. Michael stared thoughtfully at the monitor. His restaurant had only been open for a month, and there was no opportunity yet to hire real security or a security service. Of course, he knew perfectly well that employees could cause harm. Some more, some less. Very often people steal. The reasons for this are different. But he could not afford for something to go wrong in his restaurant because of this. Michael had been saving money for its opening for more than a year. And now, when everything was going even better than he had planned, he watched as his dishwasher dragged a large bag to the exit. It had only been 3 days since he had installed the cameras. That means she had been dragging it out for a whole month. He stood up decisively. Theft needs to be stopped at the root. Strange, of course. The girl was very young, and it didn't seem like she was like that. But apparently she was very good at hiding her true face. In half an hour, the restaurant would close. The dishwasher and the administrator leave last. By the way, the dishwasher exits through another door, which the administrator then locks. Although that door cannot be opened from the outside, that explains why she is not aware. She simply does not see this worker out. Everything is so convenient for the dishwasher. He would just make it. Michael lived literally 3 intersections away from his restaurant. By car, it's just 5 minutes. He drove up, turned off the headlights, and waited. The same dishwasher should appear any minute now. Valerie carefully adjusted her cap. That's it. Today, my girl behaved well. Hold on a little. Now Mom will walk a little and pull you out. Valerie double-checked everything. The holes made in the bag are not closed. It's uncomfortable for Angelina. Half an hour ago, Valerie fed her. That means the baby will sleep soundly. She understood perfectly well that this was not right. That if someone finds out, they will simply take her daughter away from Valerie. But there was no other way. Valerie's milk disappeared immediately. The formula cost so much that the child benefits were only enough for a couple of weeks. And then there were diapers, utilities. The girl did not know for a long time what to do. And then she found out about the opening of a new restaurant and the recruitment of staff. When she came for the interview, she still did not know how she would be able to fulfill her duties. She really needed a job. But the neighbor warned that she would be able to babysit Angelina no more than twice a week. And for that, Valerie would have to clean her place. When Valentina saw the place where she would work and realized that the dishwasher would be alone for now, a plan was born in her head. It was so unreal, so dangerous, that Valerie was even confused. And then she tried. Angelina was only a month old when she came to work with her for the first time. The baby was so calm that she quietly lay and slept in the back room where there was a stock of dishes. There was plenty of space there, and light too, and Valerie maintained cleanliness. Valerie was left without parents as a child. She lived with her grandmother. Her granny was a romantic by nature. Such things as everyday life did not interest the old woman at all. From the age of 10, Valerie herself ran all the affairs in the house. Andrew won her over immediately. She didn't just fall in love, she went crazy. Her grandmother had been gone for a year, and the girl immediately offered for Andrew to move in with her. He agreed. However, as soon as he found out that Valerie was pregnant, he disappeared in an unknown direction, taking with him the few valuables that were in the apartment. Valerie did not go to the police. She was so ashamed that she generally tried not to go out on the street. She almost managed, and everything would have been fine if those people hadn't come to her. They wanted her to sell them the apartment. The girl was not going to sell anything, and they said that she could accidentally be hit by a car on the street, and then her child would be left an orphan. On the same day, the milk disappeared, completely. And that's when Valerie realized. Now the real trials begin. Work became a real salvation. They paid every week, there was no need to think about food, and they had enough for everything. When Angelina turned 3 or 4 months old, Valerie tried not to think about it. She was strong, she was smart, she would manage. Although, lately she doubted very much that she was strong and smart. Valerie carefully set down the bag, closed the door, turned around, and found herself nose to nose with the owner of the restaurant. "Oh, ah," he mocked her. "Show me what you're dragging in the bag. No restaurant can withstand theft in such volumes." Valerie shielded the bag with herself. "I have never stolen anything. How dare you?" "I should be ashamed, not you, but me." He laughed, then became serious. "Show me what you're carrying in the bag, or I'll call the police." Valerie sighed. There was nothing to do, especially since Angelina began to stir in the bag. She crouched down, opened the bag, and Michael gasped. "A child? From where? Is this yours? Is this what you work with, a child?" Meanwhile, Valerie took Angelina in her arms. "Am I fired? Wait, what are you? You two right away. Let me give you a ride. Do you live far?" "No, right around the corner." "Well, then I'll walk you. Come on, give me that damn bag already." Michael understood perfectly well that Angelina was not to blame, that it was not from a good life that Valerie was dragging such a crumb to work. He himself had gone through a very difficult life with alcoholic parents. If they hadn't taken him away from them, who knows? Maybe he would have become the same as them. They reached the house, but Michael did not even think of retreating. He went up with Valerie to the right floor, and when the girl looked at him expressively, he said, "I would have a cup of tea." Valerie shrugged her shoulders. Tea. She didn't mind tea. Well, she couldn't drive him away, really. What if? Although no, he still won't allow her to work with a child. She quickly changed Angelina, made her a little formula, just so that she would fall asleep she had just eaten recently. And then she went out to the kitchen, where Michael was already brewing tea. He looked at her cheerfully. "I've been doing a little housekeeping here." Valerie sat down and realized how tired she was. Not even physically, but morally. All this tension, whether they would find out or not, whether they would kick her out or not. And she herself did not understand how she suddenly burst into tears. My God, what should I do now? Michael sat down opposite, pushed a mug towards her. "Well, now tell me." "What?" She looked at him in surprise. Everything from the very beginning, born, studied, and so on in order. Valerie started talking. She spoke sometimes, sipping tea. She spoke and realized how unhappy she was. Everything was not like other people's. Everything was topsy-turvy. But why? But she did not know the answer. While she was talking, Michael did not look at her. He himself wanted to cry, because he had known the injustice of life to the fullest. "So sit at home for a couple of days. I'll call someone. And we need to think of something in 2 days." "We?" "Well, I can't just leave you in this situation, especially since you washed the dishes well." "Okay, I'll go. Good night." He got up abruptly and left. Valerie did not even have time to thank him. She sat a little longer and went to lock the door. In the hallway on the bedside table lay several large bills. Valerie leaned against the wall and cried again. The next day, she still had to change one bill. Angelina had a fever. The doctor who was called prescribed medicines and vitamins. The young mother had no choice but to quickly run to the pharmacy while Angelina was sleeping. Fortunately, she only had to get to the next house. She had just closed the door behind her when someone rang the doorbell. Her heart began to pound. She decided it was Michael. Valerie quickly glanced in the mirror and flung open the door. She immediately tried to close it, but was hindered by the foot of a young man who was smiling at her impudently. "Well, hello there, single mommy. Why are you greeting your guests so poorly?" He pushed her aside and entered the apartment. Along with him came another man and a woman. They made themselves at home at the table, and the woman began to spread some papers on the table. "Well, have you thought about it?" "I have. Get out or I'll call the police." Well, call them, and we'll see. Just keep in mind, along with the police, you're signing your own sentence. Think about the child." Valerie choked with indignation. "Who are you? What do you want? I'm not going to sell any apartment." "You will. Just with each day of your stubbornness, your apartment becomes cheaper for you. So the sooner you agree, the more money you'll get." The young man named a sum, and Valerie laughed, although she was very scared. "Are you kidding? That's the cost of a bathroom in this house." He grinned. "And in a couple of days you'll agree anyway, only you'll get even less. Get out. I'm not going to sell anything." He moved towards her. Valerie shrank. But then the young man kind of jumped strangely and collapsed to the floor. Michael was standing behind him. He turned to those sitting at the table. Anyone else need an explanation that the apartment is not for sale? The guests quickly disappeared, and Michael turned to her. Why didn't you tell me anything about them? I didn't know they would come again. Valerie looked so scared. His heart clenched, so gentle, so defenseless. Pack up. Where to? Where necessary. He barked so that Valerie immediately burst into tears. I'm sorry. You're going to my place. I'm hardly ever at home anyway, and it will be safer for you there for now. Who knows what else these jerks will pull. Valerie obediently went to pack her things. 15 minutes later, they were leaving the apartment. The neighbor peeked out onto the landing. Val, looks like the daddy showed up. Does this mean I don't have to babysit Angelina anymore, and you won't be coming to clean anymore? Michael smiled at her affectionately, very affectionately, baring his snow-white teeth. Exactly right. Now you'll have to wash up after yourself. The neighbor slammed the door in fright. Not a man, but some kind of beast. And Valerie had to go and get involved with someone like that. Although it seemed like someone else was visiting her. She waved her hand. The hell with them. Young people nowadays are such that it's better not to get involved. Valerie looked around the large apartment. It's beautiful here at your place. This is now. You should have seen it when I first bought it. The walls were all battered. By the way, this will be your room. He flung open the door. Valerie noticed a men's robe and slippers. But this is your room. It's big and warm, so you will live here, and I will move over to that one. He pointed to a door on the other side. It's kind of awkward. Awkward is sleeping up to the ceiling. You settle in, I'll be back soon. Michael went somewhere. Valerie put away her things, then went to the kitchen to drink some water. A pile of dirty mugs in the sink. It looks like Michael only drinks coffee at home. She washed the dishes, looked in the refrigerator. An hour later, cutlets were stewing on the stove, potatoes were boiling in a saucepan, and Valerie was cutting a salad, smiling at Angelina, who was lying on the kitchen couch, propped up by pillows. The door slammed. A sweaty Michael burst into the kitchen, sniffed. I'm so hungry, let's go quickly. Valerie grabbed Angelina in her arms and followed him. In the hallway stood a brand new crib and stroller, and in the crib several more bags, apparently with clothes. Oh, what are you? I don't have that kind of money. I don't know when I can give it back. Michael smiled. Strange woman creature who's asking you to give it back. After dinner, Valerie and Michael started rearranging. Michael was fooling around, and Valerie was laughing. Even Angelina, who was lying on the big bed, was trying to mumble something there in her own language. At night, Valerie did not sleep. Neither did Michael. He suddenly realized that he felt so good right now. He was not alone in the house. Michael propped himself up on his elbow. Well, some time will pass, and Valerie will want to go back to her place. She's like that. She doesn't want what belongs to others. And he understood perfectly well that he did not want her to leave. At breakfast the next morning, Michael said casually, "We need to get married." The knife fell from Valerie's hand and clattered loudly across the floor. What? What? We need to get married. Angelina needs a father and you need protection. Valerie stared at him with huge eyes. She had never imagined proposals could be like this. Michael set down his fork and looked at her. What could he tell her? That he had fallen idiotically in love with a woman with a child who washed dishes in his restaurant. He tried to find the right words, but suddenly Valerie leaned across the table and kissed him, softly, tenderly. It was like an electric shock for Michael. He pulled her away from him, picked up his phone. You guys can handle it there without me. I have an important meeting. I won't be in today. The dishwasher? Yeah, find a new one. Valerie won't be coming back.